They tried to sabotage my career. Without realizing I was the one signing their paychecks. Stick around, because what started as betrayal turned into the ultimate power move. And, if you're into stories of quiet revenge and unstoppable success, hit that subscribe button. Money can't buy happiness, but it can fund the perfect revenge, especially when your toxic family doesn't know you're sitting on a $500 million fortune. I learned that the hard way just last month, when my own parents and brother tried to sabotage my career, not realizing they were targeting the owner of the company. I'm Melissa Tran, though in most business circles I go by Mel. Officially, I'm the newly appointed Chief Strategy Officer at Everlyn Dynamics, a cutting-edge biotech firm based in Seattle. What my family doesn't know? 2 months ago I became the company's majority owner, quietly acquiring shares through a series of discreet transactions using a private trust. The path to this moment started nearly 18 years ago, back when I was a quiet scholarship kid studying biomedical engineering at Georgia Tech. Meanwhile, my younger brother Ryan coasted through Stanford with our parents footing the bill. "Ryan needs support," Mom always said. "You've always been so independent, Mel." Independent didn't cover it. I juggled lab work, tutoring jobs, and coding side gigs to survive. Meanwhile, Ryan vacationed in Europe, proudly posting every wine tasting and yacht party. But I was patient, focused. I had a dream, and I knew it would all pay off eventually. And it did. By the time I turned 30, I had launched and sold 2 biotech startups. Quietly, I kept my name off press releases, funneled profits through shell companies, and let the world think I was just another mid-level exec grinding away. Why all the secrecy? Because I knew how money poisoned relationships. My parents had always worshipped Ryan's stable job in corporate sales while treating my work like some fragile experiment. "You should talk to Ryan," Mom would say at dinner. "He can help you get into real business." So, I let them believe I needed help. That I needed them. Meanwhile, I was executing my masterstroke. A stealth acquisition of Everlyn Dynamics, where I'd been working quietly for just over a year. The firm was undervalued but packed with promise. Using a web of trusts and entities, I gained control without anyone realizing it was me. When the board named me CSO, they thought they were hiring a loyal strategist. They didn't realize they were giving the seat to the new owner. Ryan's reaction? Let's just say, it was delicious. "Must be nice to finally catch a break," Ryan said with a smirk during our monthly family dinner. "Though I hope you're not in over your head. Corporate leadership's a whole different beast than tinkering with science projects." Mom and Dad exchanged anxious glances. "Maybe Ryan could mentor you," Mom chimed in helpfully. "He's been managing teams for years, sweetheart." I smiled politely, suppressing a laugh. If only they knew about the acquisition papers locked away in my home safe. "I'll keep that in mind," I said calmly. But Ryan wasn't content with smug comments. My promotion had upended the family pecking order. He'd always been the golden boy, the reliable one with a conventional career, while I was the quiet geek who never quite fit. The first red flag came when he began dropping by Everlyn Dynamics for casual lunches with department heads. I watched from my office window as he joked with senior staff, feigning concern for his overwhelmed sister, subtly probing for any sign of weakness in my leadership. Then came the anonymous tips to HR. Accusations of falsified degrees, rumors of inflated credentials, all of them baseless and easily disproven. But they sent a clear message. Someone was trying to destroy me. "I'm just worried about you," Ryan said sweetly when I confronted him. "You know how it is. Tech companies promote women a little too quickly these days. Gotta hit those diversity numbers. I'd hate to see you crash and burn in front of everyone." I let him keep digging, curious how far he'd go. That answer arrived yesterday. Delivered in a sealed envelope to the board of directors. Inside, a polished dossier filled with forged bank statements, altered emails, and a timeline painting me as a fraud. Embezzlement, insider trading, falsified reports. It was a masterclass in malicious fabrication. The board called an emergency meeting for Friday morning. Ryan must have heard through his office grapevine because at dinner last night he was practically glowing. "The board wants me present tomorrow," he announced grandly. Apparently, there's going to be a big change at the top. Mom and Dad beamed with pride, neither asking why I wasn't invited to this mysterious meeting about my own job. What they don't know is that I spent last night building a dossier of my own. Every manipulation, every lie, every whisper campaign documented in detail. And this time, I'm also revealing Everlyn Dynamics' true ownership structure. Tomorrow, they'll finally find out who's really in charge. And if you think Ryan's about to get away with it, you might want to hit that subscribe button, because what happens next changes everything. I should be angry. I should be hurt that my own brother tried to annihilate my career, that my parents eagerly RSVP'd to my professional execution. But sitting here in my home office, surrounded by printouts of forged bank statements and fake email trails, I feel surprisingly calm. Ryan's scheme, twisted as it is, handed me the perfect stage, a rare chance to confront not only his betrayal, but a lifetime of being underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people believe they've won, right until the moment they realize they were never in control. The board meeting is set for 9 a.m. sharp. My family will arrive thinking they're about to witness my downfall. Instead, they're about to learn why you never bet against the quiet one in the corner, especially when she owns the table. The pieces are in place, the curtain's about to rise, and for once in my life, I'm actually looking forward to a meeting. I got to Everlyn Dynamics early that Friday, just to catch the show. Right on cue, at 8:45 a.m., Ryan strutted into the lobby in his sharpest suit. Mom and Dad trailed behind, dressed for a victory they didn't earn. "Is the board ready for us?" Ryan asked the front desk, practically humming with anticipation. His expression reminded me of the time he accidentally deleted my science project in 8th grade, the night before it was due. From my office upstairs, I watched them being escorted to the executive conference room. The board followed soon after, somber-faced and tight-lipped, exactly as instructed. Everyone had received my private message the night before. At 9 a.m. on the dot, I pushed back my chair, took a deep breath, and walked down the hall. Time to begin. Marcus Chen, our board chair, was mid-sentence as I entered. "These allegations against Ms. Tran are extremely serious." "Sorry I'm late," I said brightly, taking my seat at the table. Ryan's head jerked up, confusion flickering behind his smug grin. "Mel, this is a closed session. You weren't invited," he said sharply, glancing nervously at the directors. I folded my hands calmly. "Actually, I invited myself. It's a bit hard to hold a board meeting without the company's owner." The silence was delicious. Ryan's jaw dropped. Mom blinked rapidly. Dad looked like he'd swallowed a lemon whole. "What are you talking about?" Ryan sputtered. "Everlyn Dynamics is owned by shareholders." "It's a public company," Ryan scoffed, clinging to his illusion of control. "Correction," I said, nodding to my assistant Layla, who stepped forward and began distributing folders to everyone seated around the table. Everlyn Dynamics was a public company, until 2 months ago, when it was quietly purchased by Tran Strategic Holdings. Would you like to guess who owns that? I watched as realization dawned across the boardroom. Several directors' eyes widened as they flipped through the pages. Some had speculated about the mysterious private trust behind the buyout, but no one knew the identity of the new owner. Until now. "This is insane," Ryan stammered. "You can't afford. You're just a lab geek? Just a coder," I finished for him, smiling. "Yes, you've made that quite clear, over and over again, in fact." I turned to Layla. "Could you play the recordings, please?" She tapped her tablet, and the room filled with Ryan's voice, dripping with false concern. "Between us, Melissa's not leadership material," he was saying in one clip. "She's brilliant in the lab, sure, but this role? She's going to crash hard." Another recording played. "Have you noticed any irregularities in her department's finances? Might be worth a closer look." Every whisper, every manipulation, every false lead, captured and played back like a perfectly timed symphony. Ryan began to sink into his chair, color draining from his face as the room turned cold. "And then there's this," I said, holding up the envelope he'd sent the board. The same one filled with falsified statements and forged documents. Attempted character assassination, fabricated financial misconduct, intentional sabotage of company leadership. Did you really think no one would verify any of this before taking action? I was trying to protect the company, Ryan blurted, his voice cracking. You're not qualified. You've never been the one who succeeds, who wins. You're not the one who deserves to be here, I said quietly. No, Ryan. I'm the one who deserves to expose you for corporate espionage, for manipulating stock perception, for endangering the company's future with lies. Mom's voice finally broke through the silence. Surely you wouldn't ruin your own brother's life? Like he didn't try to ruin mine, I said, turning to her. Like you didn't come here to watch it happen? Dad raised a hand, weakly. We were just supporting Ryan. No, I cut in, you were doing what you've always done, assuming he was the one worth betting on. Then I turned back to the board. I apologize for the theatrical nature of this meeting, I said, rising once more to face the board. But I needed everyone here to understand exactly what we're dealing with. Mr. Ryan Tran has committed multiple serious violations in his attempt to sabotage my role at this company. I paused, letting that hang in the air. His actions have not only targeted me, they've exposed Everlyn Dynamics to legal and regulatory risk. Marcus Chen cleared his throat carefully. What would you like us to do, Ms. Tran? I took my seat again, folding my hands on the table. First, I want it on record that the board has reviewed and dismissed all allegations made against me as categorically false, based on verified documentation and internal review. Second, I request that a formal letter be sent to Ryan's employer detailing his misconduct, including the audio recordings, fabricated evidence, and attempts at corporate espionage. This behavior should follow him professionally. You can't, Ryan said, his voice cracking. You'll destroy my career. Like you tried to destroy mine? I asked, calm but sharp. The difference is, I have real documents tracing real actions you took, not the forged garbage you sent hoping to frame me. I turned back to the board. Lastly, I want it documented that Ryan Tran and both of our parents are permanently banned from Everlyn Dynamics property. Any attempt to contact staff or interfere with operations will result in immediate legal escalation. Mel, please, Mom cried, mascara streaking down her cheeks. We're family. I let out a short, cold laugh. Family supports each other. Family cheers your wins. Family doesn't fake documents and spread lies just because they can't handle your success. I pulled out one final folder, my ace. This, I said, sliding it across the table, is the acquisition contract for my first biotech company. Sold it for $50 million at age 27. My second, $180 million, 2 years later. I glanced at Dad. I could have bought that golf club membership you wanted, could have paid for every luxury trip you gave to Ryan like trophies. But I didn't. They stared at the numbers that shattered every narrative they'd clung to. I stayed quiet because I wanted to see who would stand by me when they thought I had nothing. You all failed that test. Ryan had gone pale. You're firing me from my job, he whispered. No, I said softly, your actions fired you, just like you tried to do to me. The only difference? You actually did what you're being accused of. I stood again, gathering the last of my documents. This board meeting is adjourned, I said clearly. Marcus, please ensure all documentation is formally filed and secured. Then I turned to them. Ryan, Mom, Dad. Security will escort you out. Wait, Ryan called out, his voice cracking as I reached the door. Please. I'm sorry. I was jealous. I couldn't handle that you were finally doing better than me. His voice shook. We can fix this, can't we? We're still family. I turned back one last time. Do you know the difference between us, Ryan? He looked up, eyes glossy. When you thought I was struggling, you pushed me down further. When I was succeeding, I kept it quiet to avoid making you feel small. I exhaled. That's the difference between real success and whatever game you've been playing. The next few weeks were interesting. Ryan lost his job. His employer wasted no time once they reviewed the evidence of his sabotage. Word of my success at Everlyn Dynamics leaked, and suddenly, the same country club crowd that had fawned over my brother started asking about me. Mom and Dad left teary voicemails, Ryan sent handwritten apologies. Even his therapist mailed a letter explaining he was doing the work. I archived them all without replying. 3 months later, I was working late when Leela buzzed my office. "There's someone here to see you," says it's personal. It was Ryan, but not the polished, cocky version I'd grown up with. He looked thinner, older, hair shorter, no flashy watch, no tailored blazer, just a plain button down in a manila envelope. "I'm not staying," he said quickly, raising a hand. "I just need to say something." He stepped forward, placing the envelope on my desk. "This has everything. Passwords, contacts, info I dug up while trying to sabotage you. I'm also sending a letter to the board and my former employer, owning everything. No excuses." I watched him silently. "Why now?" I finally asked. "Because you were right," he said. "I wasn't building anything real, you did, and I hated you for it." He turned to leave, then hesitated. "I'm starting over. Small startup, entry level. No shortcuts this time. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that letting me fail taught me more than our parents ever did by helping me cheat." He reached the door. "Ryan," I called softly. He turned back, hope in his eyes. "Send me your resume in a year." "Not for a leadership role," I said gently, "but if you're serious about earning things the right way, we're always looking for people willing to work their way up." A single tear slipped down Ryan's cheek, but he gave a small nod, collected himself, and left without another word. 6 months later, Everlyn Dynamics has surpassed even my most optimistic projections. We're developing life-changing biotech solutions, expanding rapidly, and creating hundreds of new jobs across the Pacific Northwest. Something real, something lasting. Mom and Dad still send the occasional message, usually when they need something or want to name drop their CEO daughter at a dinner party. I keep contact polite but distant. The approval I used to crave so badly? I don't need it anymore. The corner office they said I'd never earn has a perfect view of the Seattle skyline. Some nights I sit by the window, watching the sun dip behind the mountains, thinking about family, ambition, and the strange power of being underestimated. Last week I got a holiday card from Ryan. No guilt, no request, just a quiet note. "You succeeded not because of us but despite us. I'm learning to do the same." Maybe that's the real revenge. Quiet, earned, undeniable. Thank you for listening to my story, for seeing me when so many people I loved couldn't. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Tell me what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have stayed silent, fought back sooner, or maybe you've lived through something similar? Been the quiet one, the underestimated one, the one who had to build from the shadows while others took the spotlight. I want this space to be more than a story. Let it be a reminder that you don't need loud applause to validate your worth. Sometimes, your quiet resilience is your loudest strength. And if you're on your own journey right now, working late nights, being overlooked, underestimated, keep going. Keep building. Let your success speak louder than your pain. Support me by liking, sharing, and subscribing, not just for the next chapter of my story, but for yours too. Because if I've learned anything, it's this. Success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were always right to believe. So, what's your story? I'm listening. And I hope the world is too, because it's your time to be seen.